Hey, what's up, y'all? I never make any videos or I don't post much on here, man, but I did want to at least share my experience of voting in today's election here in Georgia. I live in Cobb County, live in Smyrna, and our election was held today. This morning the polls open at 7 o'clock. So my wife and I, we get in line. We're there early. We got in line about 6:30 this morning. About the fifth person in line. And I mean, it started to fill up quick. The line was out the door by the time, probably about 5 minutes before polls open, 6:55. And at that time, a lady, I guess the main poll worker comes out and she's like, I have an announcement to make. Unfortunately, our poll machines were not delivered last night like they were supposed to be, and they were delivered this morning. So we're having issues setting them up and they're not syncing. So you guys are going to have to do paper ballots. And if you follow news at all or politics in general, you know that voting here in Georgia has been suspect. It's a lot of fraud going on the part of the people holding the election. So immediately everybody in the line is suspicious. We're like, all right, here we go again. Here comes the BS. So we didn't think too much of it. We're like, okay, well, we're just going to vote with a paper ballot. So we get up to the front of the line, fill out our application for a paper ballot, present our driver's license, and we get our paper ballot. So we get the paper ballot, and it comes with two envelopes, one envelope to put the ballot in, and then an envelope to put that second envelope in. So while we're filling out our ballots, I can hear the conversation behind me, the other people that are trying to turn their ballots in, and they're telling the poll worker, like, hey, these envelopes, how are we supposed to seal these envelopes? Because I don't feel comfortable licking my hands or licking them in order to seal them. Like, what do we need to, how can we accomplish this? Like, what you would think that there would be some sort of solution that had been thought up in order to keep it sanitary. And so she was like, oh yeah, 1 second. So she comes back and she has like the grease that they keep up at the front of, for cashiers, like the front of the store to keep dollar bills apart. And she hands that to him. And obviously that's not going to seal an envelope, but they tried it. It obviously didn't stick at all, didn't seal. And she was like, well, just give it to me. Just go ahead and turn it in and I'll be sure that your vote gets counted. So these people turned in unsealed envelopes to the people that are holding the election. Their ballots are both envelopes are unsealed. I saw at least, even though I was number 5 in line, I filled out my ballot pretty slowly. And I say at least 10 people that turned their ballots in where they weren't sealed, they weren't sticking at all. I didn't feel comfortable doing that. And I did notice that there was a water fountain around the corner. So I just walked over to the water fountain, and that's how I sealed my envelope and my wife's envelope. And it seemed like that started a trend. Everyone out after me started using the water fountain to seal their envelopes. But, obviously it's concerning. You wonder if those votes even counted. So we go to turn in our ballots, and we've noticed that everyone's turned their ballot in. They get a green sheet of paper and they walk out. A green sheet of paper and the voted sticker, and they walk out. So she hands us the paper and she's like, yeah, just make sure you guys votes are counted. Just follow the instructions on this paper. And, I didn't think too much of it at first because, like I said, this paper, she's giving this paper to every single person, and everyone there, we all went through the same process of showing our ID and everything. So we get outside and I'm reading the paper, and multiple other people are doing the same, or trying to read through this paper and figure out exactly what we're supposed to do. And on the paper, the box that is checked is PI, which is for photo identification. And it essentially says, I'm going to show you all the paper here. It essentially says that we didn't, so it essentially says you cannot provide one of the following 6 approved photo identification types today. Which obviously we did. Everyone there had their driver's license. They checked all of our driver's license, and everybody got this paper. And then it says, if you do not have one of the following listed IDs, you may obtain a photo ID at the elections office by 5 p.m. on the Friday after election day. You must provide one of the above IDs at the election office at that address in Marietta no later than 5 p.m. Friday after election day, or your ballot cannot be counted. You may fax it to this number or deliver it in person. So my thing is, I don't understand, man. Like, you know, all of us are getting this paper saying that we didn't provide our ID when we did. You know, I witnessed it. Every single person had their ID, including myself. And we're getting this paper for a provisional ballot saying that we didn't show our ID when we did, and essentially causing us to do an additional step, which is driving to Marietta, which is way out the way from me, or I gotta find a fax machine and fax a copy of my ID just so my vote can be counted. And I mean, it's so frustrating. Like, you know, we encourage people to do the right thing, and, you know, we got to vote in our electorate, vote in people that have our best interest at heart. But if we go to vote and there's so many barriers, you know, there's so many, the wait times, the bullshit with the machines, you know, the stuff with the ID, it's just like, there's so many barriers on people who just want to vote. Like, people aren't trying to cheat. We're just trying to vote. We want to be able to choose our elected officials. That way our society will start to look somewhat like what we believe it should look like. And we try to go vote, and it's intentional. The suppression that we face is institutional and it's intentional. I mean, you mean to tell me that they accidentally, you know, they forgot to get the voting machines here last night and they got them here this morning? Come on, man. On the election? Man, come on. After they had so many issues here in Georgia, it's intentional, man. And I mean, my thing is, if y'all think they're not getting ready to do this exact same thing in November, you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself. Like, we're telling young people to, you know, get out and vote, you know, don't tear up your city, do the right thing, get out and vote, you know, vote in your officials. We're telling them all this stuff. But if they go and do it and their vote is thrown out because the envelope isn't sealed, or because they didn't drive to Marietta or go find a fax machine to send a photo of their ID that they had and presented at the time that they voted. If we have all these barriers that aren't in place for other people at majority black precincts, majority of everybody in that line was African American. Like, I don't understand what's the goal of this system. I mean, it's obviously to keep people from voting. There's so many barriers that are put into place. It's 2020. Why is it this difficult for someone to go and vote? I mean, come on.